their sample unit where it's all nice and furnished and stuff, they don't tell you that they have roaches. They don't tell you that they gunshots go off on a regular basis. They don't tell you none of this. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very highly requested video, which is on finding an apartment in Charlotte. Now, I'm talking about Charlotte, but you can apply this to about every major city in America. When it was finally time for me to find an apartment here in Charlotte, I was probably only here about a year. And about 4 months before I was ready to move out, that is when I started looking for an apartment. It took me a while because of the things that I wanted. So it all came down to 3 things. One was the area that I stayed in, the amount of money I would pay for the apartment, and of course the features of the apartment. And I get a lot of questions about how to find a place in Charlotte. People want me to recommend a certain apartment complex that they should stay in, and it's all dependent upon what you want. So it's kind of hard for me to reply to that. So I'm just going to share a little bit about what was my wish list and help you see how I formulated. It took me a while to find the apartment, but I wasn't on a time crunch. Like I said, I started 4 months ahead, so I felt like I started enough time to see what was out there, what I wanted and what I didn't. And the fact that I started about 4 months ahead really wasn't a positive, because if you know anything about apartments, their availability is about 60 days. So someone will give a written notice that they're moving out within 60 days, and then so they'll list that on their website or whatever, and then you'll know what they have available. So if you go up there like 3-4 months ahead and you're like, well, we really don't know what we're going to have available in August, you know, and you're starting in April, March, whatever. So even though I looked 4 months ahead, you can probably start at like 3 months just looking at the areas and the tips that I give you, and then probably about 60 days ahead of time, 2 months, then you would probably start contacting those people. A lot of what I did in the early stages was figuring out what side of town I wanted to stay on. I physically drove around to different areas. Sometimes I would just drive around, I'll see a complex and I'll be like, ooh, that's cute, and I'll like take a picture of, you know, the complex name, and then I'll research it later. Now, if you do not currently live in Charlotte, which is the majority of the people who ask me about apartments in Charlotte, that means that you can't drive around, you can't see how that side of town looks at night, if it's safe. You really can't see if that apartment, if the pictures that they list online are accurate. Were those pictures taken 7 years ago, and now the apartment is like doesn't look anything like that because the management did not upkeep it. So I would just suggest that you try to take a trip out here. I would suggest you well plan and look at places that you would want to stay and just take a trip. One, I kind of suggest you take a trip even before you move to see if you even like the city, period. But also to make sure that you don't sign a 12-month lease without physically seeing the apartment. Maybe not your exact unit, but seeing how it's ran, because I was bamboozled a lot from stuff that I seen online, and then when I went to the property, I was like, y'all didn't tell me this was the hood. I thought this was nice. No, do not get fooled. Even the expensive apartments, they may have some flaws, and you may really not like that, but you're stuck if you try to sign something while you living in another place. Now, if you really cannot afford to take a trip out here, if you know anybody out here that can go look at it for you, that would be great. Also I just suggest to carefully, thoroughly read the reviews on that apartment. Go to multiple websites and read every single review, the good, the bad, and the in between, all of it, because that'll help you get a better picture of what the apartment is like, especially within the last year. A lot of reviews are from like 2017, 16, whatever. We don't really care about that because, you know, a new company can buy it and restore it, but you want to see current reviews and take that into account, because that swayed my decision on about 75% of the apartments. The reviews is what kept me away from it or drew me to it. First thing I did was write down what I wanted. I wrote down the location, the price, and the uniqueness I wanted in an apartment. Now, you may not know location if you're not from here, so I'll do another video on size of towns that I think are good for Charlotte. For location, I wanted it to be close to the job I used to have. I no longer work there. I am an entrepreneur now, but I wanted it to be close to that area. As far as uniqueness, I really didn't care about new appliances. I didn't care about valet trash and all that stuff. What I really cared about was making sure that it was unique. I didn't just want 4 walls and a door. I needed something different. So I have a townhouse and I have 2 levels, so I really love that. I didn't really care about updated features and granite countertops. I kind of wanted something like that had charm. I didn't really care about a washer and dryer because I always washed my clothes at my friend's house, so I didn't really care about that. So you have to really figure out what you want. And I literally, in this apartment, God bless me, because I got every single thing that I wanted. Now on to stage 2. After I got my list together and I figured out what side of town I wanted to stay on, I went online and I went on sites like realtor.com, especially apartments.com, and I'll list everything down below. And I plugged in what I said that I wanted. And I also did a Google search for apartments in Charlotte. Now, I was looking for something particular that was under $1,000. I did not want to pay over $1,000 because I wanted to save a bunch of money, and I do not believe in spending all of your money to rent. For when your lease is over, you leave and you take nothing but what you brought in there. Like, at least if I'm gonna pay a lot of money, at least let me own it. So I wanted something low cost. So $1,000 was my, well, was above my max, but nothing over $1,000. And then I compiled a Google Doc, and I'll show you how that looks. I just wanted to show you my Google Doc real quick, and this is how I laid everything out. It's a little messy only because this is at the very end of my apartment hunting, so I already have my notes in here, but it was a lot more cleaned up when I first started. So basically what I do is I separate them by days. So these were Saturdays, so this was the best day ideally that I could go and view the unit. Also, you'll see the apartment name. Ignore what I have at the beginning. That was my ratings of the apartment. But you'll also see the apartment name here. This is at 707. What I can remember about this one, it was pretty cool. It was hard to get in touch with them. I also will have the address here to go and view the unit. And then I have the price. They had a studio that I thought was really cute for $780 and above. And then also I have the number here and the time when they were available. Now, back up to the top where I rated. Here, it's letting me know when I'm ready to sit down and think about everything. My ratings help me to weed out everything and don't waste my time thinking about stuff that I'm not going to get. So this one I gave out a 5 out of 10. That's not good enough for me to stay there. The price was great. The location, not the best. So on this Delta crossing, I don't even know why I put this on the list, but it was a no. And obviously a strong no because I put 3 O's. Okay. But I will give you an idea of things that I did like. So these 2 at the bottom, I have 3 stars for Uptown Court. I really like those. And then also this Vista Commons, I like those as well. I love the areas of both of these. This is in Uptown, which is basically downtown Charlotte. And then Vista Commons, I think that was in kind of like an area called Plaza Midwood or kind of over there. I loved those areas. I also love the apartments. This one particularly, she has 3 stars. The reason why these 2 got weeded out is I believe their availability weren't right. And I think, I don't know, I forgot what happened with this one, but that one ended up getting weeded out. But I really did like that one. So that's an example of my list, and I really hoped that helped. And it's really good to write down the specials because sometimes you'll go into a place and you'll bring up the fact that you've seen that they were having a, 1 month free if you move in by a certain date, and then you tell them and they be like, oh, that was for last month, but since you've seen it, we will honor the special. So you can get some stuff for free if you just write it down and mention it. The reason why I do a Google document is because I'm an analytical thinker. I need to see it in list form, and also because I use so many different websites that every time I wanted to look at an apartment again, I didn't want to be like, wait, was that on realtor.com? Was that on apartments.com? I just had a big nice spreadsheet where I can see everything that I don't have to keep going all over and being confused. I hate confusion. I need organization. And also a lot of apartments I didn't see online. I don't know if they have bad marketing skills. They just don't know how to list stuff online, but I seen it. I'm like, this is a cute apartment. and I would have to physically go to their website to find what I needed. So sometimes when I was driving by, I seen apartments that I needed to write down. And also another reason why I loved having my Google Doc with me is because I would take it with me when I went to go look at apartments. That helped me know like the address, because I'm out and I'm like, what was the address again? Or when I get into the place and they'd be like, okay, so what unit did you want to look at? And you know, they'd be naming their units like the Blueberry, the Buffalo, the Bridge, or whatever. You'd be like, oh yeah, I seen online, I really like your Bridge unit. Are those available? Like, you remember that you wrote down the one that you like, the unit that you like. After I leave the unit, I immediately rate it, because it's after you see a lot of places, they start to run together and you'd be like, did I like that one or that one? Like, you kind of forget your impression. So as soon as I leave it, I write my thoughts. I rate it from, I think I rate it from like 1 to 5. And I immediately know if I liked it, if I'm willing to deal with it, or if a heck no. And then I also left notes like, this is ugly, or I actually rather the Blueberry unit versus the Bridge once I got into it. Manager is really sweet. Like, I don't know, just different things. I would write my notes of what I thought about this place, because if you're looking at 20 different apartments, you really need to remember after you checked it out and how you felt about that particular place. Stage 1 was me getting my list together, what I wanted, what I didn't want. Stage 2 was looking on the websites and compiling my Google document. And then stage 3 was getting out there and actually looking at these apartments. I cannot express how critical this stage is. Now, of course, if you don't live here, you really want to rely on your reviews and any pictures that you can find on multiple sites. Get multiple pictures. But also, driving around, like I said earlier, I was bamboozled by a lot of apartments. I don't know if they took this when they originally built the units, because they didn't look like it at all. I went to one apartment that looked really great, and then I drove by, it was like Pothole City. It was the whole parking lot. Like, I had to swerve like this to get in the parking lot. Needless to say, I'm not living there, because obviously you can't repair your parking lot. Other things are going on, or just randomly, just like, I don't know. I don't like people hanging out outside in an apartment. Like, I don't know. I just can't. Not like you walking a dog, like you just sitting here on a Saturday night, you know, chilling. I don't need that. I don't want that. I want everybody to be inside their home. And because you outside, you playing music, you loud, you drinking, I don't need all that. What's another time? I'm very big with sunlight. I love sunlight. In a lot of apartments, once I actually went in the unit, I'm like, y'all must have had every light on in the house when y'all took these pictures, because it is dark. A bat could live in here. So yeah, I was very, I don't know, appalled when I looked at some apartments, and my friend went with me and he was like, you know you don't want to stay here. And I was like, you're right, I don't want to stay here. Like, I was kind of happy about some places. I was trying to see if I can make it work because the price was good. They're like, I don't know, the way the apartment was organized, it was cute. It was like, it looked good, but I'm like, I cannot stay here, because I'm gonna be talking about this place within a month and I'm gonna be pissed off. And especially when I read reviews and people talking about maintenance don't come to your request till like 6 weeks and just all kind of stuff. Management I'm okay with, because not too much that I need to actually physically talk to you about. I pay my rent on time. As long as, you know, nothing really break, I'm good. But I do know that management plays a big role in upkeeping the property. But once again, I cannot express how much reading reviews are, even if you have the chance to go look at the apartment, because those reviews will tell you if they have roaches, all kind of crazy stuff that I have seen. I'm like, oh, so just people just be out here jacking cars? It's like, this is a hot spot for car jacks. This is a hot spot for, I don't know, just crazy stuff happening. Like, I just cannot live here. Like, no, I just don't want to do it. So please read the reviews everywhere, because sometimes you may read a review on apartments.com and they're great. And you go to another one and you like, wow, this is terrible. And they left the comment like 2 months ago. Multiple people, but you didn't see it on the other websites. Because when you go in to view the apartment, of course they're gonna welcome you with a nice handshake, some free coffee, some paperwork, some pamphlets, something. They're gonna show you their, their sample unit where it's all nice and furnished and stuff. They don't tell you that they have roaches. They don't tell you that gunshots go off on a regular basis. They don't tell you none of this. They don't tell you it. So you need to read the reviews. And then I was done. So I kind of went over all my pamphlets, all my pictures, all my reviews, my Google Doc, and I kind of thought about what unit I wanted. And I also had my mom and my sister help me out because that's the stuff that we do. And I had actually went home like the week before I was about to decide what apartment I wanted. So I showed them everything and showed them pictures and stuff. And we kind of like came down to a consensus, and it was good to hear their point of view. So that was me. You don't have to do that part, but yeah, I needed some feedback. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video on how to find an apartment in Charlotte or any major city in America. And stay tuned, because on my next video, I'm gonna do an apartment tour so you kind of see what I found when I did this whole apartment searching, as well as a video on the size of town that I really recommend, because I did another video, but it wasn't really in-depth. So I'm gonna do an in-depth video on like what I find and what I like about Charlotte. So hopefully that will help you. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, and I will see y'all later. Bye.